people think that you have to think about your audience first, but I actually say you have to think about yourself first and get really clear on what it is you're
Oh.
actually selling.
Welcome back. Today's guest is Rachel Allen. She's a fast thinking, deeply nerdy marketer with broad ranging experience in for profit and nonprofit sectors. She's written for some of the biggest and smallest names in business and excels at marketing that's equal parts data driven and human centered. Having run a marketing business for 17 years with clients in over 21 countries, Rachel's worked with some of the top names in entrepreneurship, as well as influencers, brick and mortar businesses, and nonprofits all around the world. Her work has contributed directly to high ROI launches, leaps in audience engagement, industry awards, relationships with top venture capital firms, and national level honors. Welcome, Rachel. Great to have
Thank
you
you so
here.
much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
I want to start with your story of how you got into how you got into
Yeah.
marketing and copywriting, because I think it's such a fascinating story. And so that's where I think we should start today. Let's dive into that.
Oh, I love telling this story too because if I wasn't the person in it, I would think it's ridiculous. But
Understandable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I do marketing now, marketing strategist, fractional CMO, but I went to school for journalism and I didn't even have any concept or any plan of running my own business. I never thought about being in marketing. That was just completely out of my sphere. But went to school for journalism, graduated in 2008, and of course, no one's hiring journalists. So the only job I could get
Right.
was unpacking boxes at Old Navy on the 5 a.m. shift in their warehouse. And I was like, okay, this is
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
not what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I did
Yeah.
that for 6 months. And then in my 22-year-old brain, I was like, okay, what's the furthest place away from Tennessee? And the answer to that is Hong Kong. So I bought a plane ticket
Okay.
and I left. But I didn't get a work visa beforehand because, 22. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
landed in Hong Kong with like $200 in cash. I have to make rent the next month. And so I'm Googling like how to make money online, which is only slightly less ridiculous than it is now. But I found this like
Yeah.
job popped up for something called copywriting. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's probably a scam, but I'll give it a try.
Hmm.
So I gave it a try. They actually paid me $3.25 and I was absolutely hooked.
Amazing. And and then how did that turn into the career you have today? How did you go from, that $3 and what was it, 17-cent job to like everything that you have built? How did you get here?
I actually tried really hard to pretend it wasn't working for like the first 2 years. So I had this success and
Oh,
I got really like, I am sort of obsessed with gamifying it. So I got to where I could do these jobs very quickly. I
mm,
took on a bunch of jobs. I was actually earning pretty good money doing it. But it was so far away from my plan that I was like, well, this isn't a success. This is just my little gap filling whatever. And so 3 years in, I have like regular clients and by any accounts, I have a business, but I'm like, "Oh no. No, no." So I was living on this Greek island and like, living the dream, the entrepreneur dream where I was working in the morning and sunbathing every afternoon. And I was so anxious and unhappy all the time because this wasn't the plan.
wow.
And so
Right.
I sort of, white knuckled my way through a summer on the world's most beautiful island. And then I was like, well, this is untenable. I've got to make a decision here. And I
Hmm.
decided that what I would do is I would do a master's degree as my like last ditch attempt at following the grown up path of getting a job. And at the same time, I would also commit to doing this business. So I did a 1-year master's degree and also started the business. And at the end of the year, the business was just more interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. And it's so interesting to me that you were already 3
Yeah.
years in and now you're starting the business.
Right. Because up until then, it was accident. Like it was just
Yeah.
a fluke. I don't know why people keep
Yeah,
coming back. Yeah.
totally. And it's so interesting to me, and I just love that distinction between, but this was the plan, and then this thing happened, but that wasn't the
Yeah.
plan. And so what was take us through that. What was going on in your head during that time when you didn't realize it was a business and you weren't thinking of it
Yeah.
seriously? How are you feeling through that?
A lot of it was when I was focusing on business work, I'm very competitive with
Mhm.
myself and I love a challenge. And so every day was like, can I do this faster? Can I do it better? Can I earn more money? Like, how can I win this every day? And then as soon as I was outside of it,
Yeah.
I'd be like, wow, that felt super amazing. Weird. Huh. But also, I don't have a job where someone pays me. Yeah. So it
Mhm.
was a lot of,
Yeah,
oh,
except
sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, except that you were
Oh,
making
yeah,
money.
I know, totally. But I had
Yeah.
just been so, indoctrinated with this idea of, like, if you don't have a W-2 job, there's no way that you can be safe, there's no way that you can make money as a creative,
Yeah.
disaster is around the corner at any moment, and I never,
Mhm.
had just really even considered, like, well, maybe I could make a stable business for myself.
Yeah. And I think so many of us get caught up in that
Yeah.
trap of thinking that way, that if someone else isn't responsible for signing my paycheck, then it's not
Mm,
legitimate. It's not
yeah.
real. And the way I like to look at it is like what is safer than being able to generate your own income? Because a job, as we all
Yeah.
know, you could lose that tomorrow for any
Oh, yeah.
reason. But
And
if you know how to make your own money, then that is
yeah,
security.
and I mean, you would have think that I would have clocked that with the whole, like, graduation and then, like, I did all the stuff and it didn't work out. But I was like, "No, maybe if I try
Yeah.
like, if I just pull the lever on that slot machine one more time, maybe that will work out for me." But yeah, I did have to come to
Yeah.
realize that, and actually, a good friend of mine has Heather Thorkelson wrote a book called No Plan B, talking about people like us,
Oh,
and that's what she brings out that
yeah.
whole she articulates that concept of safety, and like you said, it's like, what could be more safe than knowing that you can be dropped anywhere in the world and figure out a way to make yourself
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was that moment for you when you realized, "Oh, wait, I am doing this. This is
Mm.
real."
So during the year that I was doing my master's, I sort of through a weird confluence of circumstances ended up on my very first sales call with a pretty big name entrepreneur in London, and I didn't know who she was because I don't I wasn't an entrepreneur, so I wasn't researching anything. But, we get on the call and she's asking me, like, all this stuff, and I have absolutely no idea what it is she actually wants because I don't know all the acronyms, and it's Skype because it's a million years
Mhm.
ago, so there's no video. So she's asking me all these things, and I'm like, "Yeah," as I'm Googling, like, all these acronyms. I'm like, "Yeah, I could totally do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I ended up signing her for a five-figure contract. And that was
Amazing,
totally I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't even know if I'm gonna fail or not. I wouldn't even know what failure looks like. So I just kinda went for it.
right?
And, after working with her for a couple months, I was like, "Oh, I'm actually really good at this." Like, this isn't just
Nice.
me churning out nonsense for content mills, like, I'm helping a seven-figure business do what it does. I'm getting people onto, Penguins rosters for publishing books. I'm getting airport bookshelves filled. So, it was really, really cool to have that
Amazing.
kinda confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say to another entrepreneur who maybe hasn't realized yet that they're an entrepreneur? What would you say to them?
I would say, gosh. So I would say a couple things, but the first thing is like you are so much more capable than you're giving yourself credit for. And if you go out and spend some time around who I very lovingly call the normals at their jobs and you see like how they work and what they do, you'll be like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
am doing so much more already."
Mhm. The
Yeah.
normals. I love that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
please do.
that. I'm gonna steal that from you, the
Yeah.
normals. That's great. So, what is it about marketing that you're so excited about and that you love doing?
I really like, the challenge of it for one. I think it's an interesting strategic challenge.
Mhm.
But what I really love about it is it's actually an opportunity to create a really beautiful conversation between people, which I know could sound a little crazy because
Yeah.
people think of marketing as like just sort of beating people with marketing copy until the dollars fall out. And like that just it doesn't work long term. So I like
Yes.
being creative with it. I like creating these long-term relationships with people in this very human to human conversation and kind of subverting the idea of like this traditionally adversarial relationship between the marketer and the customer. I'm like, "No, we're in this together. If you wanna buy something, do it over here. If we're not a fit for you, that is so great. Please go on." And so I like being able
Yeah.
to like turn it on its head.
I love that perspective of we're in this
Yeah.
together. Yeah, and I think a lot of small business owners struggle with their marketing because they feel like they're the bad
Yeah.
guy or they have to pressure people into buying from
Mhm.
them. And so that concept of we're in this together I think is very
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, something I teach in workshops a lot is like I think I get a lot of people who come to me very anxious about sales and very anxious about marketing. And I tell them,
Yeah.
it's because we're taught to do it like you're selling a timeshare. It's like, "Oh, let's like be
Yeah.
friends, nurture campaign, softy, softy, fun, fun, buy my thing." Like that feels terrible. Of course you don't want to do that.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. And so what would you say is the opposite of doing that? Like what is your approach? How do you work with your clients or when you're teaching people
Mhm.
marketing strategies? Um, yeah, walk us
Yeah.
through that. What does that look like?
So I always, I actually, people think that you have to think about your audience first, but I actually say you have to think about yourself first and get really clear on what it is you're
Oh.
actually selling, which sounds so obvious because, like, of course you know what you're selling, right? But when you say it, if I
Yeah.
ask you, then a lot of times people are like, oh, but it's like this thing. And like, because you know how important it is and you know what it does and you have this strong felt sense. But then when you try to articulate that, a lot of people fall into like the buzzwords or the cliches or whatever. And so the first thing
Yeah.
is really to figure out like who are you? What are you doing and why does anybody care? And I mean like why do they really care? Because people also tend to fall into this like, well, they want it because they want to become empowered or they want my thing because it's high quality. And I'm like,
Oh,
dude, nobody in the history of ever has woken up at 4 in the morning being like, man, if I could just become my most empowered self, everything would be great, you know?
totally. I see that so much in my world of personal
Yeah.
development is like the empowerment or to, fulfill your
Yeah.
dreams and stuff. But you're right. People aren't waking up at 4 in the morning thinking about
Right.
that or, like, that's not the thing that they're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think it is that most small business owners are struggling when it comes to their messaging? What's the biggest struggle?
I think it's something that Chip and Dan Heath call the curse of knowledge. So, and I
Mm,
alluded to it a little bit, but it's this idea of when you know something, it's really hard to imagine that the other person doesn't know it as well as you do. And so you say things
right.
like unintentionally assuming that they have all the knowledge and the felt sense that you do. And so it's really hard to get to the level of empathy where you can actually put yourself in your listeners or your readers or your audience's shoes and be like, okay, wait, like what would they care about? Not like what would I care about if I were in their circumstances, but what do they genuinely care about?
Now, what are some ways that we can start to figure that out?
So this is
How do we
like
get
everybody
there?
hates this answer and I apologize in advance, but you got to talk to them. Like actually like I know.
Oh.
Everyone's like podcast done. Thank you. um
And signing
right,
off.
right. But if you can get on
Okay.
a Zoom call with 5 people, that's great. If you can get on one with 10 people,
Mhm.
like you're done for at least 5 years. So, yeah, people
Wow.
try because everybody's like, "Well, I'll do a survey instead or I'll email them." I'm like, if you can have a conversation face to face where nobody's selling anybody anything, but you're just like, "Look, this is what I do and I really wanna help people like you. What do you actually need? Like, how do you talk about it? What do you say to your friends?" And you can
Yeah.
hear it from them face to face, you can get the energy from it, you can often find out what you think they want, they don't actually care about. And then you can save yourself a lot of
Right.
time and energy and heartache by just saying like, "Okay, what do you actually need? How can I be of service to you?" Whether that ever involves money or not.
I love
Yeah.
that. And yeah, and I can see how that would be much more powerful than sending, like you said, a survey because a survey has already predetermined
Right.
answers and they're just going to check the boxes that they think are the right answers, not necessarily what they actually
And
want.
also people lie on surveys. They get aspirational,
Yeah.
they want to look a certain
Mhm.
way to you because like, of course, we all do, you know? But if you can
Yeah.
speak to them face to face and like wait it out for about 15 minutes when everybody's masks drops off, and then you can be like, okay, but really, what do you want? Yeah.
Nice. That's such great advice. And how do we, I've seen, obviously, I've researched you, I've read up
Yeah.
about you, um, and I've seen you, like I've heard you talk about data in our marketing and paying attention to data, but how do we use data in our marketing without losing the soul of the brand?
Oh, I love that you asked me that because I love talking about this and no one ever asks me. So,
Oh,
pardon me. Um,
I'm glad I
yeah,
asked.
yeah. So, what I tell people is that marketing informs instinct and vice versa. So, people tend to get a little afraid of their own marketing and they get afraid of their own instincts because they're like, well, I don't know, the internet says I'm doing it wrong. Or what if I make the wrong decision? Or maybe I don't
Mhm.
have enough information. And I'm like, okay, sure, maybe. But first of all, you're a human and you're talking to other humans. You understand how this works. You can tell a story. You do that all the time with your friends. So you have this
Right.
very like you if you start with this belief or knowledge of yourself of like, "Oh wait, I don't have to market to people. I can just talk to them. I can just have a conversation. I know how to do
Mhm.
that. I do that all the time." Then you can bring in the
Yeah.
data to be like, okay, what specific questions do I want answers to? So that might be, for instance, what kind of headlines do people really respond to in my emails? That's an answer with an easy data
Mhm.
question. You can look at the open rates. You can, if you really want to get fancy, do like some A/B testing and surveys and stuff like that. But that you can look and be like, okay, that one got 87%, that one got 60. Cool. Then you can use that data to tweak it and inform it. But it always has to be balanced with that qualitative thing. So when I'm doing metrics reviews for my clients, we always have almost an equal quantitative, so like numbers based, and qualitative, feelings based column, and they have to work together.
Okay. Okay. And how do you and this might be a silly question, but how do you measure the feelings part of that? Because like the numbers are easy. You can look at your open rates and your click rates and all of that, but how do you measure
So I
feelings?
start with the like your feelings, your internal feelings. Like, are you enjoying your
Okay.
marketing? Do you feel embarrassed when you see it?
Mhm.
If you're on a sales call, do you feel excited to send somebody to your website, or are you like, oh, maybe check out my Instagram instead? Do you like
Yeah.
the clients you're working with? Or like, do you go to work every day and like, okay, I guess I got to do this? So I start with that. And then
Right.
I look for sentiment markers among clients. So, like, let's say you're having a bunch of conversations with them, and I would ask, like, how do you think people are doing? Like, do people get on the call
Yeah.
angry or stressed or relieved or like, what are you picking up on there? And then you can look, if you really want to get this deep, you can look into like your comments and engagements and stuff and say, like, okay, do people genuinely seem interested? Do they seem like they're just clicking the little LinkedIn AI thing so that they say something? Are they upset? Like, what's going on there? So I really try to bring the human element back into it. And then we can say, then it gets really fun
Okay.
because it's like, okay, we know that people are feeling this way. We see that they are doing these things. How do I make a story out of that?
And where would you say that AI fits into all of this? Because I know so many people are using
Yeah.
AI to help them with their copy and their marketing. I know I
Mhm.
have. I know many of us, when it first came available to us, we were probably overusing it. And I know through a lot of conversations I've had with small business owners, have pulled it
Yeah.
back quite a
Mhm.
bit as we're learning how to work with it. So, how would you say AI is fitting into our messaging and our copy, and how can we use it even more effectively than maybe we are now?
So I think it is such a great marketing intern, and that is the approach that I take with it.
Mhm.
So it's wonderful for
Yeah.
research projects. It's fantastic for collating data. It is excellent for giving you a first draft. If you're the kind of person who it's really hard for you to like write into the void and you just need somebody to ask you questions, it's amazing for that. I think where people fall down,
Nice.
like you said, is they overuse it or they feel like the robot knows better than them. So I see a lot of people
Mhm.
like sort of saying, "Give me a marketing strategy." And then they never think like, "Wait, does that even make sense? Do I like that? Is everybody else doing that? Is that weird?" And so just
Yeah.
giving it kind of the vibe check of like, "Wait, do I even like that?" And if you do, fantastic, go for it, check it out. But, I think that it's just really important to know what it can do and what it can't do, and to really make the most of it for its skills.
Right. And I see the way a lot of people are using AI is like you said, is they think the computer knows
Yeah.
more than what they do. And AI is really good at sounding really
Yes.
good. So I found like I know that in the beginning I was using it as that first
Mhm.
draft, and then I would try to put myself into it, but it was really hard for me to do it that way. And so now what I do is I write
Yeah.
myself and then I run it through AI to say like, is this
Yeah.
clear? Where am I losing the message here? And getting feedback from it instead of the other way around. Otherwise, I just found it was like, well, this already sounds good. I don't know how to
Right.
change it and put me into that now.
Absolutely. I think it can be such a confidence killer because it's fast and
Yeah,
it never has to think about it and it's never unsure, you know? So, I love the way
right.
you're doing it though. I think it's a wonderful use of AI.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that. It's good
Yeah.
feedback. Where have you, in working with your clients, where have you seen some really big results or maybe some case studies that you
Ooh.
can share with us of how your work has helped them to
Oh, I
grow?
love this. So one that I was very proud of, this actually happened last year. I was brought on as the fractional CMO and launch manager for a new legal tech platform. And, yeah, it was
Cool.
really cool. And we got halfway through and they realized they actually needed to found a law firm along with the legal tech platform. So we like doubled scope overnight,
Mhm.
founded a law firm, launched them concurrently, and they became
Wow.
listed as a preferred provider for Andreessen and Horowitz members within the 6 months of launching. So that was pretty exciting. I
Amazing.
like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
Hmm.
exciting. Cool. What would you say are some common
Mm.
traps that you see small business owners falling into when it comes to their marketing?
I think one we've already spoken about, which is just believing
Mhm.
that, you don't know what you're doing. This is too confusing. Just like let somebody else, whether that's AI or just like any marketer that you've hired, let somebody else handle it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to drive that car. So not wanting to have
Yeah.
involvement in your own public voice. I think another one is feeling like you have to follow all the whatever the trend of the year is. We saw this
Right.
so much with like TikTok videos a couple years ago where everyone was like, no, I have to do the viral dance to make people pay attention to my business. And I'm like, I'm not gonna shimmy to talk about marketing. What are we doing here? Come on.
Totally.
Um, and I think
Yeah.
the final one is being inconsistent in their own way. So people think consistency means,
Mhm.
well, I have to post 3 times a week forever and that never changes. There's nothing wrong with having like a human rhythm to what you post, but it needs to be yours. It needs to feel like you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And so how
Mhm.
would you define consistency?
I would say it is a pattern of behavior that follows along with who you are and your values and your goals. And so that may be I
Oh.
post 3 times a week and it never changes and I email once a month and it's always on the second Tuesday and whatever, if that works for you, if that's just how you are. I have other friends
Mhm.
who, they're, much more, artistic with their businesses and creative, and so they're like, "I'm gonna email you when I feel like emailing you, and maybe I'm gonna email you every day for a month and then not for 3 months, and that's just the conversation we have." So it's just figuring out whatever's, like,
Okay.
congruent with your personality and your goals.
Okay. I love hearing that because I think so often when we think of consistency, we think of, like you said, that it's posting those like 3 posts
Yeah.
and doing the same thing over and over again, but it's really I love how you're talking about your own rhythm, finding your own rhythm in it
Exactly.
and being consistent in that, and I think that's so important for people to hear.
Well, because it really is a relationship, and, like, I don't know about you, but I don't text my friends Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then, on the 2nd Tuesday, we'll have a coffee date. It's like, no, like
You don't?
oh, no, I knew I was weird. But yeah, it's really a relationship. So
Yeah.
as long as you're showing up for the relationship with people, they don't need you to broadcast at them. They just need you to talk to them.
Good point. And how do we get into that? Like, I think so many and I know I've gone through that, but eh, I love that distinction of broadcasting versus
Yeah.
talking to them, and how do we get away from that sort of broadcasted messages and actually begin to talk to our audience?
So, I tell people to ask themselves this question before they start doing their marketing and before they publish anything, which is, do I actually want to say this or am I just saying this to fill some space? I was at a
Mm.
conference, gosh, like 10 years ago, and a woman named Sally Hogshead said, if something's not adding up value, it's taking up, or so if something is not adding value, it's taking up space. And I'm like, I don't have any extra
Yeah.
space for nonsense. So it's like, really think about like, do
Yeah.
you want to share this or do you just kind of feel like you have to? And if you just kind of feel like you have to, like, I don't know, do something else, do something that interests you, switch gears. That's the thing I'm thinking about all the time with marketing right now is like, how can I be weirder with it? How can I be more creative with it? What can I do that breaks the bounds of this traditional, like, medium that we're working with?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so how can we build more of a connection with our audience without, say, getting into oversharing? Because I see a lot of that
Yes.
too, where people almost become too vulnerable and too authentic online.
Yes.
Where's that? How do we navigate that? Where's the line
Oh,
for us?
so I call the being too vulnerable drunk crying on the internet shoulder. Which, like, it
Hmm.
happens, occasionally you're gonna have somebody in, like, a bathroom be like, "But I just miss them so much." And that's okay, we've all been there.
Yeah.
But you don't wanna do that all the
Yeah.
time. It gets bad if you make a habit out of it. So, the
Okay.
sort of filter question that I have people think about is, who are you in the context of your working relationship to these people? And if there's something that makes sense within the context of that relationship, go ahead and share it. If it doesn't really make sense though, if it doesn't add anything, then just take that for your personal life. So, in my own case, I have a pretty public internet presence. I think I've been on 63 podcasts this year already. Yeah,
Amazing.
thanks. I post a lot. I'm everywhere. But people actually don't know all that much about my personal life, and that's by design because that's nobody's business. But they still feel like they know
Okay.
me because I'm very open and transparent about the elements of my life and work that play into our working relationship.
Yeah, that feels good. That feels almost like permission that
Yeah.
we can keep parts of our life
Oh yeah.
private and for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to go around photographing my manicures or whatever for my business. Like, I just do that because that's relaxing for me.
Totally. Totally. It's like, and I totally get that. I know for myself, I don't share much of my
Yeah,
husband online because he's very
exactly.
private and he's a police
Mm-hmm.
officer. So he wants to remain
Right.
private. And so, but the odd time I do share a photo is maybe our anniversary or
Sure.
something. And people will say, I never knew what your husband looked like. You never show him. I'm like, well, I don't show him for a
Right.
reason. But once a year, he says, okay, you can share this one.
Exactly. No, I'm the same way. My husband's also very private. And so if I share a picture, he's a mechanic. And so it'll be him like bent over a car with a tool in his face. So you can't actually see his face, but it's like, yeah, there he is. He's doing stuff.
There he is. He
Right.
exists. He's real. He's a person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What would you say is the worst marketing advice you've ever heard?
Ooh. Gosh, there's so much bad stuff. So one anything that is, if you don't do this, you're gonna go out of business in 6 months, anything, I think
Oh,
we all
yeah.
remember like, "No, dude, you gotta jump on Periscope, like, right now." Come on, nobody's
Mhm.
still doing that stuff. So anything with that kind of urgency to it.
Yeah.
But if I were to choose like a larger one, there's something that I call the big lie of marketing. And the big lie of marketing is that you as an individual person can and should have the same level of marketing as a company with a multinational marketing organization. And you just can't do that. That's
Oh,
not
yeah.
fair. Like, there's no way. I've worked in these large businesses and these large teams, and they struggle to put out the amount of marketing that a lot of marketing courses are like, no, but if you just automate
Mhm.
it and batch it, you can totally put it out. And I'm like, you really can't. You just cannot. And that's an
No.
unfair expectation to put on yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I remember hearing that like back in the day of like 30 pieces of content a day across like multiple
Awful.
platforms. And I I don't think I ever even got close to that even just one
Yeah.
time because we actually have to run the business too
Right.
and see our clients and do the work.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you're just a content creator, that's all you do, that is your job is to create content,
Sure.
maybe. But, if you're selling something else other than content, you have other things to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what's so destructive about that though is that when you can't make those 30 pieces of content, then it's like, man, I didn't try hard enough. I didn't hustle hard enough. I didn't want it
Yeah.
badly enough, or I followed the system wrong or something. And that's what gets
Mhm.
me really upset about these marketing promises where they're like, well, anybody can do it. And I'm like, no, they really can't. They really,
No,
really
they
can't.
can't.
And that's no fault
No,
of their own.
no. Especially for that solo
Right.
entrepreneur who's really a team of
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's not
Hmm.
realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A,
absolutely.
um, a
Yeah.
friend of mine, Mary Williams, I interviewed her recently for a panel discussion on the wage gap in entrepreneurship. And she had this
Oh,
incredible
cool.
quote where she said, I know so many women who are trying to build their businesses in 15-minute increments. And I was like, oh, I
Mm,
absolutely
mhm.
know that. And like when you're doing that, when you have so many other pulls on your time and energy and resources, Like, you have so many better
Yeah.
things to do than taking a picture of your latte every morning. You have better things to do than make
Yep.
content.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in marketing right now? Maybe
Mm.
some of the good trends that maybe we should be
Well,
considering?
what I'm really excited about is actually a swing back towards analog, non-scalable work. So, yeah, it's
Oh,
actually sort of a reaction to AI, particularly anything that's more high ticket, anything expensive. You have to do personal outreach and you have to make it to where it's not scalable. So, I'll see clients. I have one client who sends her clients flowers on their birthday every year. She's like, it's
oh,
so
nice.
lovely. Another client picks out a book for her clients, like an individual recommendation, and then mails it to them from Amazon each month. I'm seeing a
I
lot
love that.
of in-person, like, get it in the mail newsletters,
Mhm.
physical magazines. I just actually created one with another business person where we created a 150 page, like, put it on your coffee table magazine. So, yeah, it's like
Cool.
a swing away from anything that feels like someone's going through a system or a process and back to, like,
Yeah,
"Hey, can we just chat and I don't know, maybe we'll work together or something?"
very
Yeah.
cool. It reminds me of a conversation I had on the show, I guess, um, almost a year ago with a brand identity designer,
Ooh.
and we were talking about this exact thing, and especially how the younger
Mhm.
generations really value something that you can put in their hands. They're
Yeah.
tired of screens. They've grown up on the screens, they're done with them, and they want something physical. And so she was talking about the same thing. It was like the return of the
Yeah.
magazine. And yeah, so that's exciting.
I love it. I'm a very analog person in general, which is ridiculous given how much I work on the internet, but it makes me really happy to see that happening.
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too. And I think it opens a door for us to be more creative in how we reach out to people
Yeah.
and to think
Oh,
differently.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the most amazing work I'm seeing right now is coming from entrepreneurs who are doing just crazy things with like the traditional medium. So a friend of mine did an email campaign where it was working up to a launch for one of her art collections. And the email campaign was like part murder mystery, part scavenger hunt.
Oh.
And I
Oh,
mean, the open
cool.
rates on that thing were, of course, sky high because people were like, dude, give me that email. Like, I have to have that. And it was so
Yeah.
fascinating. So I'm loving all this stuff that people are like, I don't know, how do we stretch the bounds of a LinkedIn post? What can I do with this?
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And now you have me
Yeah,
thinking about how could I do that in my
right?
business? And I love that. Yeah. What's a marketing tactic that people can be
Mm.
changing right now to make a lasting impact in their
So the
business?
first thing I always say is update your bio. And people tend
Oh.
to do it once and then leave it for like 1,000 years because it's kind of an existential
Mhm.
thing to put one together. But it tends to get really outdated, and people also tend to
Yeah.
try to show their personality in their bio by saying like identity markers about themselves. So we've seen all the bios of like
Mhm.
mom of three, loves coffee,
Mhm.
stuff, but that doesn't really tell me anything about you. So I encourage people
Yeah.
to update their bio using that standard we talked about before of like, who are you in your working relationship with these people? And what can you tell them that makes it really easy for them to say yes to having a conversation with you?
Can you give us an
Mhm.
example of how that could
Yeah.
sound?
So, for instance, I mean, my tagline on my website says, "Data driven humans." No, sorry, human centered, data driven marketing for good people doing hard work that matters. And so
Cool.
that is what I do. If I were to translate that into LinkedIn speak, it would be something boring like marketing strategist and fractional CMO for values led businesses. Nobody cares about that.
Boring.
But when I say it in the tone, like how I actually talk about this stuff, when I bring in those values of like, yeah, I work with good people doing hard work that matters. Like people instantly know, oh yeah, that's me, or they're like, it's a little weird, I don't know, and then they know to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Okay, now I have some rapid fire questions
Ooh,
for you if
let's
you're
do it.
game. Okay. All right. What's a marketing buzzword you wish would disappear?
Synergy, utilization, um,
Yeah.
gosh, there's so many of them. All of them. Any marketing vocabulary, if you've heard it before, I don't want it.
Get rid
Yeah.
of it. Got it. What's your favorite writing fuel? Coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee and silence. I am a write in silence, close the door, don't talk to me for 5 hours writer. Mhm.
Wow, good, good. What's the strangest or the most surprising niche you've ever written copy for?
Ooh, I mean, I've written copy for everybody from astrologers to accountants, but, I have, worked with some sex workers, and that was really cool. The
Oh,
surprising part
interesting.
of it was one of them sent me to his website, and, it was just a picture of his butt, like, cheeks spread, and I was like, "Oh, that is the most intimate I
Wow.
have ever been with a client." Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I would think
yeah,
so. Yeah. It's I just have to like a
yeah,
little
yeah.
side note. It's interesting you say that because I've had a couple clients who are
Mhm.
sex workers, and it's the most
Oh,
fascinating
yeah,
work,
yeah.
like, and they market, like, their
Amazing.
marketing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I learned from them
Mhm.
of, like, how much they're marketing themselves and how they're putting themselves out
Oh,
there, and
yeah.
I'm just like,
It's
"This
one of my
is
favorite niches to
actually
work with.
fascinating."
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cool. I really enjoyed it. What's a book you think that every entrepreneur should read, marketing or not?
So it's not specifically a marketing book, but it does help with that. It's called Indirect Work by Carol Sanford. And it's a teeny
Okay.
little book, just yay pamphlet sized. But it's talking about how we tend to think of strategy as being an A to B thing. So it's like if you're taking the metaphor of a pool table, I hit the pool cue, the ball hits the ball, things happen. And she's like, yeah, but what
Mhm.
if you move the table? What if you're able to move the whole
Ooh,
table? So, and she walks you through how to do that with your work. Yeah.
very cool. I'm definitely gonna check that one out. And what's the biggest client red flag that makes you turn down a project?
Mm. If they come in and do not have any tolerance for risk. So they come in and they're like, "Well, I you have to guarantee me it's going to make me X amount of money by Y date." And I'm like, I don't own the world, man. I can't do that. But I
Uh-huh.
can tell you, here's what I do to make this happen. I can show you here's how I've made it happen before. But if you have to have certainty, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah, good call. Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember one of my first business coaches said to me, "If a marketer ever promises you any
Oh
kind of
yeah.
result,
Yeah,
run
absolutely.
because they
Yeah.
can't. They can't guarantee
Right.
anything." Yeah, good. Now, I have a question for you from the previous guest who
Ooh.
passed along a question for you without knowing anything about you or who you were. And this was from Courtney
Uh-huh.
Seard. And she asks, what excites you the most about the next 18 months? And what is the first action you're going to take to accomplish it?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I'm at a point in my business and with several other large projects where things are sunsetting and I have a really open canvas in
Mm,
front of me. So what I'm
nice.
doing about that, because I've done this entrepreneur thing for so long that like I kind of know how to win the level of the game I'm at. So what I'm
Hmm.
doing is taking the entirety of December to just think and think about like what I
Oh,
want to do differently, what I actually want, how this fits into my life, what this could look like in terms of scheduling, what's the weirdest thing I could do with it. So, doing a lot of thinking time.
cool. Oh, that's
Yeah.
exciting. I love that. Yeah. And where would you want listeners to connect with you next?
You can find me at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can email me like it is the ancient times at hello@boltfromthebluecopywriting.com, and I will email you back.
Perfect. I will put those links in the
Thank
show
you.
notes. And I'm also curious, where did your business name come from?
I had a terrible business name before this that it was based on a pun that no one understood. So it was The Revolution, but with a W, because like writing,
Oh, yeah,
terrible,
no. No, they didn't
awful,
get it.
awful, bad
Yeah,
business, bad branding. So I was going
gotcha.
through a branding process and I was like, what does really amazing marketing feel like? And it is like a bolt from the blue where you're like, oh, I could never think about it the same way again. So that's where it came from.
Cool. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a great name. And any final words you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, I think the only thing I've just been saying to everybody as long as I can remember on the internet is that human is the only move left. So you know what you're doing. You know better than the robots. Just trust yourself. It's just a conversation.
Great advice. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, and all your links will be in the show
Thank you
notes.
so much. This has been great.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking with Rachel today. I got a lot of takeaways out of it. I'm sure you did as well. And I would love to hear from you. What is your number one takeaway from this episode? Or what are you going to do differently in your marketing after listening to this. So drop me a comment if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube. You can leave them there, or send me a message on Instagram at the Teri Holland and let me know what is your biggest takeaway from today. Thank you so much. I'll be back with you again next week. Bye for now.